Hey YouTube, and importantly Peanut Butter and Jelly. As always, love your vids. I think you're on to some really good things. I saw your vids sometimes it's better to be alone. And maybe in people's lives, they may not have a lot of friends or they may not have a significant other, so they feel alone. They feel like, man, what's wrong with me? Nobody seems to want my company. And I've gone through those periods. I've gone through those periods of singleness where there seems to be no love connections or no erotic connections or anything like that. So I know what it means to be by yourself. I know what it means to be when all your friends seem to be busy and you're by yourself. I can remember being back in high school myself, and I was never bullied in school, but I was picked on, i.e., I was teased because I talked a certain way, because I acted a certain way. I didn't dress like everybody else. So I was always seen as this I was always an outcast socially. And I hated high school. I think my one saving grace in high school, though, was the fact that I did drama, I did theater. And being in theater was my release. That was sort of my like catharsis. And in creative writing. So, creative writing and drama really, it was a place where I could be safe from the teasing and the taunts of other people. I seem to find acceptance in that realm. So, I definitely understand what's going on there. And sometimes when it seems like you don't have any friends and any social life and love interests, you feel like I'm worthless, I'm bad. But you did mention a very good point is that we all are born alone and we die alone. We may have some company on that march to the grave, but when it is all said and done, we are still alone. We still have to walk our path. We still have to make our own decisions. We still have to live with the consequences of those decisions. And yes, it can be depressing. I remember after a breakup, I was about 20 years old, and I remember a young lady and I had a breakup, and I was devastated, and I locked myself in my room and listened to music and just basically shut myself off from the world. So I know what happens. What's interesting, it's kind of neat that you talked about being an army brat. So you got to travel, you got to see how the other half lived in other parts of the country. And I think the one thing that makes many people lonely, we don't take the initiative to step up to the plate and introduce ourselves, make ourselves available, let the world know, hey, we're friendly and we want to hang out. You even talked about how certain influences can influence people. And sometimes you are known by the character that by the company that you keep. And of course, that may have an effect on your character as to who you are, as to what you're about, is who you roll with. Like they say, show me what a man is, or show me the company a man keeps, and I'll show you what manner of man he is. So I like how you said sometimes if things are not productive, you may have to remove yourself from certain people, whether temporarily or permanently, because you may not. They may see it as, oh, he think he too good, when in reality it's you all are walking down paths that I cannot walk anymore. You might be wanting to hang on the corner and drink all day. Well, I got things to do. I've got a job to go to. I've got a degree to get, or I've got improvements to make on my life. And if I hang with you, I'm gonna be sitting there drinking and kicking it on the corner with you and not doing anything with myself. Not trying to go to that particular extreme, but I think you get where I'm coming from. Um, and another thing you mentioned, people do change over time. Life happens to people. People gain new insights and new perspectives on how the world is viewed. And I think that we as human beings are a complicated, multifaceted entity. We're not static. We're always in a state of flux, and I think that's a good thing because if we were not in our state of flux, we would die. If things did not change or adapt, we would die. That's just nature. That's science. That's a real thing. Um, and those people that you may have separated yourself from, not everyone who claims to be your friend isn't. Because there have been many people that have wished me well, but behind my back, they were murdering me. But in my face, they were smiling at me. So this loneliness thing gets tricky because now you're like, who's really for me and who's against me? And you'll start wondering about those kind of things. Just dealing with the human being is an interesting animal. He's more duplicitous than a serpent, because a serpent lets you know up front what it is. A cow, a pig, a dog, a cat, and says, "Hey, I'm a dog. I'm a cat." The human being says, "I'm this, but I can also front like that's the front, but I'm really this over here." So, and sometimes people have masks for themselves. Masks to themselves, so they don't really know the real them either. So I think the time of loneliness, and I agree with you here 100%, that time of loneliness should be used to improve yourself, get to know you, get to roll with yourself, and make the improvements that you need to make. I think we're in a culture that's so obsessed with pairing people off and hooking people up that we don't actually go, hey, let me sit back, let me chill, let me sit back in the cut for like a minute, and let me have me time. Get to know me so when I do deal with people, I won't get lost in the group mind, in the group think, in the group psychology. Introspection is good. You shouldn't just stay there, but sometimes it's good to recharge your batteries and not be so caught up in the energy of others. Now, here's where I have a point of contention. You said don't ever settle. Well, I would say settle, but not always. In some cases, I think you have to settle, and in some cases, I think you shouldn't. So I say it's a case by case basis for me with that. Well, I love your vids, man. Agree or disagree, you seem insightful and you got your finger on the pulse of life. So keep making your vids, Mr. Peanut Butter and Jelly. Be easy like Sunday morning. Take care.